Superman news video for the week September 5th to September 11th, 2014. Our top news stories in this week's Speeding Bulletin include Zack Snyder posts a new photo of the Batmobile for Batman v Superman. Greg Berlanti confirms he's working on a Supergirl TV series. And Darwin Cook is doing a series of variant covers for December comic books. Let's check out these stories and more in this week's Speeding Bulletin. In movie news, another of the main cast members has been spotted during filming for Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, with Lawrence Fishburne, who is returning to play the role of Perry White, photographed exiting the London Chop House in Detroit, Michigan. Meanwhile, Ben Affleck told the New York Times that he's having a blast filming Batman v Superman, saying that the film's script by Chris Terrio is really unique to the genre and really smart. We found out this week that filming for Batman v Superman is taking place at Detroit's Russell Industrial Center, with locals advised via a notice that filming will be taking place at night this week and will include pyrotechnics. It was expected and proven true that the shoot would involve the Batmobile, which was spotted on location initially under wraps on a trailer. Additional photos were posted online later in the week showing the Batmobile, a Gotham City gas tanker, and a variety of boats. But then, in reaction to all the fan photographs of the Batmobile being posted online, director Zack Snyder posted his own official photo via Twitter, stating, "Here's a real picture of the Batmobile." In TV news, the Flash TV series executive producer Greg Berlanti has confirmed that he is indeed involved in a serious attempt to bring a live-action Supergirl series to television, but was unable to share any further details at this early stage in the process. He said, "We're just starting to work on it, we haven't gone to the networks yet, so I'll be very excited to talk about it once we know where its home will be and that kind of stuff, but not at this moment." In comic book news, throughout 2014, DC Comics has given us a series of different themed variant covers across their comic books. Now we know that December will feature variant covers by Eisner-winning artist Darwin Cook. Presented in landscape format, the covers see Cook blending his trademark vintage flair with the current iterations of DC's heroes. Cook's Superman covers will include Action Comics number 37, Batman Superman number 17, Justice League number 37, Supergirl number 37, Superman number 37, and Superman Wonder Woman number 14. Superman comic books we reviewed this week included Action Comics Futures End number 1, which was reviewed by Michael Bailey, who said, "It grabbed me on an emotional level and wouldn't let go," and he rated it a 5 out of 5. Michael J. Petty reviewed Justice League number 33, giving it a 4 out of 5, saying, "Not only does it wrap up this story arc involving Power Ring, but it also begins a new one with Lex Luthor as a member of the Justice League himself." Smallville Continuity Chapter 2 was reviewed by Adam DeChannel, who said, "Another setup chapter building the story up to a well-deserved epic feel," and he gave this a 4 out of 5. And T.A. Hewitt reviewed Injustice Year 2 Chapter 23, giving it a 3 out of 5, saying, "The events of last issue make this one a serious letdown." Superman comics available this week from September 10th include Injustice Year 2 Chapter 23 digital comic has been available since September 9th. Injustice Gods Among Us Year 2 number 11 print edition. New 52 Futures End number 19. Smallville Season 11 Chaos number 2 print edition. Superboy Futures End number 1. Superman Jeff Johns John Romita Jr. Director's Cut number 1. Superman Unchained number 8, which is available in a variant cover, a digital combo pack, another variant cover, and a black and white variant cover. Smallville Continuity Chapter 3 digital comic will be available September 12th. Infinite Crisis Chapter 18 digital comic will be available September 14th. Justice League Volume 5 Forever Heroes hardcover. Justice League Volume 4 The Grid trade paperback. Showcase presents Captain Carrot and his Amazing Zoo Crew trade paperback. And DC Comics New 52 Supergirl action figure. Hit the ground running this season with this great selection of Superman football gear. Protect your teeth with this custom Superman mouthguard for $95. Or how about this Superman football helmet hoodie for just $37.95. These and other great Superman football items are available from your one-stop Superman shop, the Superman homepage online store at supermanhomepage.com/shop. In other news, Mattel announced that they'll be releasing a Doomsday Unbound action figure as a final farewell to the DCU Signature Series. This fully articulated figure stands 9 inches tall and in scale to the 6-inch tall Superman figure. He includes the shredded cape of Superman, which is removable and arrives in huge window box packaging, celebrating the completion of the 6-inch DCU Signature Series line. We'll let you know when the Doomsday action figure is available for pre-order. Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment released details on the first downloadable content for LEGO Batman 3 Beyond Gotham, with the DLC Season Pass including 6 DLC packs, each with a unique themed mission level with story and free play modes. You can unlock a total of over 40 characters, vehicles, achievements and more, including characters and bonus scenarios based on Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, and a celebratory campaign for Batman's 75th anniversary, with new characters, vehicles and levels to come in 3 more DLC packs. These packs will be released on November 11th for $2.99 each. Vincent Fantazzo's self-portrait of his son Luca wearing a Superman costume has taken out the Archibald Prize People's Choice Award for 2014. The Archibald Prize is awarded annually to the best portrait, preferentially of some man or woman distinguished in art, letters, science or politics, painted by any artist resident in Australasia. And last but not least, since his debut in 1938, Superman has been the subject of quite a few parodies across many different animated shows, popping up in person as a caricature or interpreted by other Hollywood animators, some authorised, others unauthorised, and I've collected together information about those animated parodies with links to sites where you can watch the cartoons. Head to the Superman homepage now for the full article. And that's all the Superman news there was for the week September 5th to September 11th. I'm Steve Younis from SupermanHomepage.com.
Great Scott! Great Scott! Great Scott!
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Great Scott. I'm Scotty V, and thanks for watching. Great Scott! The Batmobile! That's one of the subjects I wanted to talk about today. I also wanted to talk about this guy, as I've heard some things, and some fans seem to be annoyed. I think fans are just annoyed that Ben Affleck has been tapped to play Batman at all, and we kind of know that already based on looking at the internet. You know, back in 1989 when Michael Keaton was cast, I heard some things. People were surprised. Celebrities were surprised. If you read the paper or a magazine, it was kind of odd fan reaction, I guess. But it was nothing like these days where immediately upon anything being said about anybody, it's all over the internet, and mostly people are complaining about it. And I guess that's mostly the negative word fanboys. You know, fanboys can be used in a good way, but most of the time it's used to talk about the whining people who complain about everything. And I guess at times I can be considered one of those. But to be fair to myself, I've kind of been hired, so to speak, by the Superman homepage to do these little opines, these little opinion pieces, these little rants, and sometimes I am in a good mood, and I'm sometimes positive about what I'm speaking of. So I think it would be uninteresting if every week I came on here and I said, everything is great and roses and rainbows are fun. So I don't always do that, and now I wanted to say, and I've said this before, I think Ben Affleck has become a fine actor. I think he's a fine entertainer. I think he's a great filmmaker. I think he's good on the writing thing. And I think that's clear. And I think people who keep hearkening back to Daredevil are just, you know, finding something that they can pull apart, just like people always do. And I've been guilty of that kind of thing too. But he's recently, I guess, come out and said that Terrio's script is smart and unique to the genre and great, and he's so happy to be working on it. And somehow I've heard negative comments about this, so unless I've missed something else that he has said, I wanted to explain a little bit what I think he meant and how I think it might have been misconstrued. You know, some people think that it seems like him saying that this is smart and unique to the genre is crapping on comic books. And I don't necessarily think that's the case, because if you look at DC films since the Nolan franchise, they've all kind of said that kind of thing. Nolan, and now Snyder, and apparently Affleck now, and even Cavill. for Man of Steel. The idea that this is not your father's Superman, the idea that this is not a comic book movie, the idea that these are serious movies to be taken seriously that can win awards and be nominated for things and have great actors like Heath Ledger. These aren't comic book movies. Now, whereas Marvel, we've already said, has really embraced the comic book in their films and said, look at this comic book movie, isn't it awesome? And it's funny, and it's a little cheeky and a little corny, but that's okay, because it's not over-the-top camp like the Batman series, but there's some of that. It's not silly like the Donner film with Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, but there's some of that tongue-in-cheek humor, there's wittiness back and forth, and I love them. But then you got something different with DC, and they've kind of made it clear that we're not trying to do what Marvel's doing, although we want their success, so we're going to cram all these heroes in here. That's another thing. But we're more serious. We're darker. We want them to be, and I love that. So I like both for different reasons, but I don't think Ben Affleck is the first one to say things like, this is really smart for the genre, or this is really unique to the genre, and it's a really great script. And I think those things can be looked at in a positive way. It just depends on the way you decide to look at them. And I think a lot of times we as fans tend to lean to the negative when we're worried about something, or when we think that there could be problems with something based on casting, or based on script, or based on what came before, or based on too many heroes being crammed in. What if it's great? What if it's fantastic? What if it's awesome? But we're going to worry about it up until the fact that when we find out. And then even when we find out, we're going to have some issues anyway, and a lot of the people who have already made up their mind are going to stick in with that opinion. The other thing I wanted, and so I think that Ben Affleck is saying something positive, and I love the idea that he's saying Terrio's script is great. And he, of course, has worked with Terrio before, so what else would he say? And I also think it's kind of an edict from DC. Like, let's talk about these films as if they weren't comic book films. Even though they're based on comic book characters, they don't feel like comic book films the way Marvel movies do. So, and we want to get more of the audience that's not just comic book people are going to go anyway because it's a Superman movie with Batman in it, or it's a Batman movie with Superman in it, or it has other heroes in it. But let's get other people to go. The other thing I wanted to say was this Batmobile. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at, but I hate it. So if you were looking for a fanboy complaining rant, here it is. I hated it in the Nolan movies. That's not the Batmobile. The Batmobile is a sports car with weapons and armor, and it looks cool, and it's got that jet engine in the back. It's not a tank. It doesn't have gigantic wheels, and it doesn't look like this unwieldy thing that you couldn't drive around. It's a sleek, a machine that has weapons on it sometimes, but it's really fast and really cool. People, I guess, liked the Tumbler because it was realistic or whatever. Why, since Nolan films are separate, they're going with the Tumbler again. It's not supposed to be the same Batman because he's going to have this armor with the glowing eyes, which is definitely not the realistic tone of the Nolan films. So why do we have what seems to be an exact copy, replica of the Batmobile from the Nolan films? It's a grainy image, but when you see it, it certainly looks like the Tumbler, and I'm annoyed. Thanks everybody for watching, and remember, holy cow, the Batmobile!